Alright, it's 2026 now and a lot of changes have happened for Waylay since my last guide, so it's time for an update. In this video I'll focus less on how to play Waylay in general, and instead give more map specific tips to help you win your games. For some context, I've been a Waylay one trick since her release and I've put in over 1,000 hours learning exactly how to play her, and in this guide I want to teach you what I've learned. This guide is going to cover the 7 maps currently in rotation, but if you would like to see the other maps, make sure to comment or like the video to let me know you like this type of content. Before actually starting with the maps, I want to quickly go over my pistol buy because I get asked about it a decent amount on my stream. In all my games, I will always go Ghost Saturate, as it's what I'm most comfortable with. If you have really good aim, you can get away with the Sheriff, but it's a much more risky pick. If you don't have the best aim, you can go with Classic, Dash, and Saturate for easy cheese kills, with the stun dash right click. Now let's actually get into the maps, starting with Abyss, and going in alphabetical order. I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long, so I'll be giving a short version of all the maps. On attack, you always want to be stunning back sight while you're dashing, and normally dashing to these 2 boxes. A sight is definitely Waylay's better sight on attack as you have way more options to go, such as heaven, around right, or to either side of the sight from main. For defense, I tend to play pretty aggressive on A, using a stun here to get some free kills. If you want to play more passively, you can play backside A and play the stun here as they run out, with peaks on either the left or right side. Abyss used to have some very good aggressive ults, but sadly after the ult rework, they don't work nearly as well, so I'd advise just using it for retakes on site.
Spike planted.
Mine is a fairly simple map for Waylay, where the overall goal is just to fully lock down lamps. On attack, it's fairly safe to dash to this box and then use your saturate inside of lamps to secure the space. Be careful, as sometimes if you throw it too far, the enemies can dodge it by running into this corner, so try to aim lower on the wall when you bounce it. For B, it's a simple stun plus dash back sight, or into cubby. If you want to get super risky, you can do a dash and an elbow as the enemies are running away. But this can backfire if the enemies don't decide to run away and instead take the fight. On defense, you can really play anywhere with your stun and get guaranteed value, as Bind has a lot of close corners. My favorite spots to play are long, with stunning as the enemies run up to grab the orb, as you can isolate fights using the wall. Another option is playing inside lamps with the idea of stunning as they are about to try to take the space. Another reason I like playing long is because you have this very good play with the TP and it catches people off guard almost every single time. You can also do this play from the other TP, however people expect that one way more often. Ults on this map include long and short for super aggressive pushing on defense, and lamps for retake. On attack, you're able to ult lamps or sight when entering. And it should be said here, on almost every map in the game, if you have info on someone, you can send it straight on them and it's unlikely they'll be able to dodge. Just be careful their teammates aren't close to get the trade. Freeze is an interesting map, because it's been out of the queue for so long, I'm just getting to play it. But after all the changes, I think it'll be a pretty good map for Waylay, and I'll briefly explain why. Waylay absolutely strives in super close spaces, which the new Breeze surprisingly has a lot of. Instead of it being this map with super long open angles, the map got a lot of areas that are now closed off and super good for saturates. Places like A main are these super cramped spaces where your ult covers almost the entire area. B-site provides a lot of very safe spots to dash and some really good saturates to make sure you can maintain the space. I need to give this map a little bit more time before I truly can decide how I play it, but for now, on A site I'm dashing to the right, and on B site I'm dashing to the left. And now onto what I consider Waylay's best map in the game. On Corrode, Waylay has a lot of freedom on which site she plays on both defense and attack, as your dashes work almost everywhere. Diving deeper into how you should be playing both sides, on defense I mostly try to contest main spaces using Saturate, on the close angles like here for A and here for B. Defense also has these really good aggressive ults, which can lead to some pretty free aces. Unlike Abyss, you can get this dash in time so the enemies are still stunned, and they're most likely in the open. On attack, you have so many dashes and plays that you can run. Some of my favorites include dashing over backside on B mixed with a saturate for free kills, or ulting elbow and dashing on the target for free space. On A, you can dash over the box elbow and catch your opponents running away. If they get behind the wall or box, make sure to throw a saturate, as the enemies really like reswinging and it's likely to hit them. Haven is another good map for Waylay, as your executes on attack are very good and your space holding on defense is surprisingly strong. On attack for Ray, you can throw the saturate lineup that lands back sight and then dash, as you're mostly safe besides for this angle, and most of the time it's a free kill. On C, it's pretty similar, except you have more angles to worry about when dashing, so using your refract while dashing is a must. If the enemies keep placing sight smokes, you should switch it up. Run out of the smoke with a sky flash or some sort of initiator util, stun the sight smoke, and jump into it with a shorty. I haven't really mentioned it, but Waylay is probably one of the best characters to be buying a shorty on. I really can't put into numbers how many free kills I get just from buying this gun. The shorty works really well with Waylay's kit, because the dash allows you to B-hop on targets, and then if you miss, you can get a free refract and you're out. On defense, I tend to play A most of the time because it has these really tight corridors that enemies are forced to push into. Use that advantage to get some free saturates or ults. If you decide to push long for this ult, make sure to get a teammate to break your dart, preferably from sight if possible. Pearl is a really simple map and it's best not to overcomplicate it. On defense, you're able to get aggressive peeking A with your refract and saturate. But besides that, just play for retake, as the enemies are most likely to be splitting sights anyway. On attack, it's as simple as stunning halls and dashing, or stunning back sight and dashing. You're able to switch up your dashes a decent amount on both sides, just make sure you're not exposed to too many angles. This map has some of the better Waylay ults, with you being able to ult either dugout or link. However, I want to reiterate, if you find an enemy on sight, it's pretty free just to ult them. You really have to rely on your initiators for this map, as it has a lot of places where enemies can just hide from your initial utility, so be sure to calm for some flashes or darts. On to our final map, which happens to be one of my favorites. Attacking on split can be fairly complicated, because you have a lot of options for both sides. So I'm going to list out a few of the plays I do every game, and you can pick which ones you want to do. On A, you're able to dash over the screen in the middle and clear everything on sight, keeping your refract in mind as an escape if you need it. If you end up getting a screen and you don't see anyone, it's a pretty good idea to clear elbow using your saturate. Alternatively, you can stun screen on the entry if there's a smoke. For B, I like to dash to new box and stun back sight, wrapping around to kill the people fighting main. If you have a sage on your team doing the wall that cuts off this dash, you can either dash to back sight or dash before the wall goes off, leaving yourself isolated. Playing defense on this map changes a lot depending on if they have a sage. The plays will still work even if they don't, but it will force you to be more strict with the timing. My favorite stuns include this B main choke, because the sage will be likely to be walling and the enemies will flood out sight. Just be sure to wait a second or two after the wall goes down to give the enemies time to flood out. This is very likely to get multiple targets hit, so make sure you peek the corner slowly. I don't really like playing A site, but you can play behind screen playing the left-right peeks. When enemies get close enough, you can stun the side they are running out on. And that about wraps us up with the 7 maps currently in rotation. I'm gonna be honest, this video is super rushed, and I'm pretty sorry for that. My content hasn't nearly been up to the standards that I want to push out, and I will definitely do better in the future. If you did end up enjoying this though, leave a like, as it helps me out so much more than you think. And I'll see you all next week, hopefully a better video.